This is the story of Vritra, the most powerful demon in the cosmos who was not born a demon, who became one because of what gods did to his father. This story is in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Rigveda itself, one of the oldest texts in the world. And it raises a question that no one in the story answers cleanly. When the wrong side wins, can it still call itself the right side? To understand Vritra, you have to understand his father, Vishvarupa. A sage of enormous power and learning who the gods themselves had chosen as their priest. As Indra's royal Purohit, the gods needed Vishvarupa to perform their yagnas, their sacred fire rituals, so they could maintain their power. But Vishvarupa had a secret. He had 3 heads, and while 2 of those heads offered oblations to the gods, the third quietly offered oblations to the demons as well. His mother was an Asur woman. He had obligations on both sides. When Indra discovered this, he did not ask Vishvarupa to explain. He did not hold a council. He did not warn him. He cut off all 3 of Vishvarupa's head in a moment without trial. 3 heads. A partridge flew from one, a sparrow from another, a grouse from the third. Vishvarupa was gone, and the Brahmahatya, the sin of killing a Brahmin, fell on Indra. The entire cosmos felt it. Vishvarupa had a son, Tvashtar, a divine craftsman. When Tvashtar learned what had happened to his father, that Indra had killed him without cause, he performed a great ritual, a dark one. He poured oblations into the fire, calling for a being powerful enough to destroy Indra. A chant was pronounced incorrectly, deliberately, or accidentally, no one agrees. And from the fire emerged not a creature of the god, but something outside the divine order entirely. His name was Vritra. He was vast, like a mountain that had learned to move, like a darkness that swallowed armies. He was not made for pleasure or comfort. He was made for one purpose: to survive, to endure, and if necessary, to end Indra. Vritra swept across the heavens. He swallowed Indra whole, swallowed him, and only interventions of other gods allowed the king of heaven to be extracted. The gods threw every weapon they had. Nothing worked. Vritra had been created specifically to be immune to all weapons forged from bone, metal, wood, or water. Indra retreated. The gods regrouped. Brahma and Vishnu were consulted, and the conclusion they reached was this: there was one material that could destroy Vritra: the bones of the sage Dadhichi. Dadhichi was a sage of extraordinary power, one who had meditated so long that his bones had become harder than any metal in existence. The Vajra, the thunderbolt weapon of Indra, could only be forged from them. The gods needed his bones. The only way to get them was to ask him to give up his life. What Dadhichi said when they asked, and what he did immediately after, is coming up. The gods went to Dadhichi. They bowed before him and they told him the truth. We need your bones. The only way to defeat Vritra is to forge Indra's Vajra from your skeleton. We cannot ask this of you. We can only tell you why we need it. Dadhichi looked at them. He smiled. I have been meditating on the self. I have been preparing to leave this body for a long time. You have not asked me to give up anything I was planning to keep. You have given me a purpose for the giving. He sat in meditation. He withdrew his consciousness from his body, the way a person withdraws a sword from a sheath, and his body, still empty, became what it needed to be. The gods took his bones. Vishvakarma, the divine craftsman, forged the Vajra from Dadhichi's spine. This is the weapon that Indra carried for the rest of his existence, made from the freely given bones of a man who had nothing to prove. Indra faced Vritra with the Vajra. The battle was enormous. Mountains fell, ocean churned, the sky cracked, and here is the part of the story that the Bhagavatam does not look away from. Vritra fought, but as the battle continued, he began to speak. Not with rage, with something else. I do not fear death, Vritra said. The only thing I fear is losing devotion to Vishnu. If I fall, let me fall in the direction of the Lord. Let my last thought be of him. The demon who had been created from grief and fire, who had spent his entire existence as the embodiment of the divine conflict, died as a devotee. The Bhagavatam asks us to hold 2 things at once. Indra won, but Indra also killed an innocent man, Vishvarupa. and the chain of consequences from that killing caused more death, more destruction, and required the sacrifice of another innocent man, the Dadhichi, to resolve. The victor did not emerge clean, and Vritra, the monster, the demon, the enemy, died with the name of Vishnu on his lips. The Srimad Bhagavatam includes a story in its account of the greatest devotees, not as a cautionary tale, as an example. That devotion does not care about which side you were born on, that grace does not check your origin. The demon who was created by betrayal died like a saint.